Hello.
Hello.
Movies that bring us joy.
Movies that bring us joy.
Week 3. I should mention a couple we did watch from before. Some we had seen, some not. I watched, were you in there with me when I was watching? I watched Foreign Correspondent, which I hadn't seen in years. You saw a little of it.
I watched part of it.
It's fun to see Edmund Gwynn, who would a couple of years later be Santa Claus.
Right.
Be this like immediately threatening little Cockney hitman in a sort of...
No Santa beard, though. So
No
that's
Santa beard, that
like
helps.
Kevin Kline and the mustache thing is when he's funny, when he's not funny.
Yes, yeah. The rules.
Gwynn, I guess. Santa Claus with beard.
Yeah.
Terrible assassin guy.
Because no beard, he's like fighting giant ants or possibly trying to kill Joel McCrea, depending on... yeah, it's fair. I feel like he's a murderer in another old Hitchcock. We watched Top Hat for no reason, that we were just home and it was late and we were like, the DVR. It's just like, let's watch Top Hat because it's on. I feel like we have inadvertently watched half a dozen Fred and Ginger movies in the last month.
Lately, there's been a lot.
They've just been on, and it's a perfect kind of thing when your brain hurts to
Ginger
put in.
doing the yam and
Carefree.
The finger of fate or whatever. That's Sweet Charity.
The
fate is the fool's name for
Chance
chance.
is the fool. See, now you can't do it either. No, that's Skate of Orsay. Anyway, and we watched, which we had not seen, and that I really enjoyed, because it's just my kind of movie for reasons I don't even know. The Best of Everything, which was the previously mentioned late 50s, Where the Mad Men Are.
Yes.
Does that feel right?
Yes, definitely, because it's, gals, it's the late 50s. We're all in the workplace, but mostly what we all want to do is fall in love and get married and have babies.
Yeah, although the one never does succumb to that. The one never really does. They do a little thing at the end where there's that sort of...
it's going to happen.
Yeah, but they leave you with that vibe so people will get off their backs about it. But like, she goes up through the company and she does her thing, and it's not easy. And there's like, there's a boy she likes. Yes, I mean, there is a romance angle, but it doesn't ever feel like an overwhelming thing. Like with the Diane Baker character, it's like, yes, obviously she will apparently marry anything. And then, really, because this obviously immediately seedy,
horrible,
repulsive, wealthy man. And then the actress, the Vogue model,
Susie Parker.
Susie Parker is the actress who's a free spirit, who doesn't ever want to be tied down to anything, and immediately becomes weirdly obsessive with the guy who she's with, Louis Jourdain. No, but the Hope Lang character actually sort of, like, yes, they have that little shot at the end where she's with the other editor and they're having their like, they leave you on a note of positive romance.
Romance, definitely,
but not in a way that it makes it feel like she's berated all the time for, like, you're not gonna stay in a business, do you? You're not gonna do that. Well, like, it's a topic of conversation, but I didn't feel like they made her character like, oh, well, really what I need is a man.
No, she personally, her character didn't seem like that, but I felt like the movie itself was saying, but see, we're setting her up with this nice guy that you all like. And we all know what's going to happen. She's going to eventually go off and get married to him and have babies and stay home.
But it left that not absolutely certain. Like, it left you with that feeling in a 50s way where they had to do that, but it didn't leave you with a certainty that's like, oh, well, like they do with some of the other ones.
But I felt a little bit like they also pushed a little extra hard on the don't stay in the business thing because of Joan Crawford.
Well, yes.
I don't want to know how much we want to spoiler things about this movie.
She has a contentious relationship, as does everyone in a movie with Joan Crawford, but who is a sort of like future her kind of version.
And I feel like the way the story is left for Joan's character, very much
is not
reinforces the idea of do not stay in the workplace.
Yes, totally. Yes, now that's absolutely true. And
I feel like Hope Lang's character is the one who really talks to her about that.
She is. It's true. But she also, in every other thing that Joan Crawford characters does is like, but I don't want to be anything like her at all.
Right, sure,
except for have that job.
Yeah.
Because she's a terrible, mean lady in the office.
I would be interested in the novel.
Yes, me too.
That came out first.
Yeah.
Because I do wonder
it's a fairly new edition.
If late 50s movie
Yes.
systems,
Right.
studios,
They've got
censors,
Well,
all of
like
that
the end
stuff.
of Babyface. Like, oh, never
Yeah.
mind, I'll marry him. I
Yeah,
love him. You
and
know, which who cares?
I do wonder if there is more of a feeling in the book of
A richer.
I can
whatever.
have it all.
Yeah, yeah,
I can be a working woman and
Yeah.
have love and whatever. But I felt very much like the end of the movie is like we're putting a gloss on it so that you can feel
Yes,
like she has choices,
certainly.
but I don't feel like she has choices.
I mean, I realistically know like what happened over the next 60 years. Yeah, I mean, but although
I'm
I've-
just bitter.
I will
guess.
also and I will admit that you're bitter and I'm aesthetic in a way that like what happened at the end to me was like these glorious shots of late 50s Manhattan and color schemes and this ridiculous the Alfred Newman score, which sounded like I kept saying throughout the movie that like it's like the elevator music has escaped and gotten out into the whole building. It's like they got Ferranti and Teicher sitting in the atrium.
It was definitely a movie. I was kind of doing other things while it was on, and I kept getting dragged into it. But part of the thing that kept dragging me into it was just being like, "Oh, it's a crowd scene. Look at their outfits."
It's beautiful. It's just beautiful. Yeah, and it's
All
well
of these
filmed, too.
secretaries in their
It's
1959
been treated
clothes, and I was
nicely.
like, "Woo!"
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And just the extras walking around behind them inside the building, that girl building, the
Yeah. What is the name of that building?
Seagram's building. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I highly recommend it. Oh, and we also watched Mildred Pierce,
Yes.
which we had mentioned, I think.
Also Joan.
Also Joan, and I had no intention of watching it. I wanted to see what their little promo for
But
it was.
it's
the little
definitely
bit.
one that you don't turn off.
Yeah, and there's Mildred Pierce on again, and it's just such fun to watch.
Yeah.
One of those weird movies of that age that I had read the novel before I saw.
Oh, interesting.
Which is, I went through a spell in college where I read a bunch of like Double Indemnity, Postman.
I
novels.
like that Joan is less Joan than we usually think of her in it. And
Sure.
yet it's one of her
It's like
biggest films.
Yeah, but she's not like
But she's not the hard-nosed bitchy lady. She's
right that she is in.
she's a working gal.
Yeah,
She's kind of screwed in her life and she's a working mom. And there's a lot of bitchiness around her that's going on.
and you know murdery stuff.
And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Now to week 3.
week 3.
There's a double feature, 2 foreign films, 2 Japanese films, one silent and one made in the 50s, I think.
Oh, right.
The story of the floating weeds, which is about some actors, some traditional Japanese actors, and you know their melodramatic goings on. Yeah, but it's an interesting topic for both of us. 2, I would really like to see the silent version and the sound version.
Is there murder in it?
An actor's jealous mistress sets her sights on ruining his son.
Oh, well.
So there we go. So a jealous
Okay, so
actress
revenge
is
is
being
happening.
vengeful. Yes, 1959, the second one. The first one, and this the
I
first
bet their
one,
outfits
yeah.
will be different
Oh,
from the...
oh yeah.
No, I meant from the women in the office.
Oh,
The
slightly, yeah.
1959.
But, you know, yeah, it is the same year. And that's late on Sunday night, really. That's just a
Late
early
wee
Monday
hours
morning, yes.
of Monday morning. I am excited about Monday the 18th because it's Errol Flynn Day.
Yes.
Not a lot of the swashbuckly big name ones.
Yes, more mystery and war and adventure.
More westerns, more mystery, war, that kind of stuff. Still cool things. Still Errol. So
Yeah.
I'll watch whatever I'm home for.
Oh, Silver River, which I've never seen, which is a western with him and Sheridan, which is Raoul Walsh again, who did High Sierra.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one.
And Dive Bomber, which looked like fun, which is one of those movies that is just like. And late that night, we were talking about this. I didn't have this on my list, but I see it on the listing all of a sudden. Late that night, Forever Amber.
I feel like I started it once and didn't finish it.
Well, it's one of those. I'm curious just because I know many stories of this big novel, but it's trash. How will they ever put it on the screen in the 40s? And then they tried multiple people. I think what's her name? Peggy. That was in Gun Crazy. They brought her over to test for Forever Amber, and it didn't work out, and she ended up doing other things. Peggy Cummings. She ended up doing some very different things instead. Tuesday the 19th.
I have 2.
You have 2.
I'm sure you also have.
I
that
do, yes. 4 o'clock in the morning at Swords Point. A stupid
Yay,
movie.
swashbuckly musketeers.
Cornell Wilde, Maureen O'Hara, Alan
Maureen
Hale Jr.
O'Hara gets to be swashbuckly.
It's
in it.
great. It's about it's the sons of the Musketeers have all sworn that they will go and meet, but it turns out that one of them had a daughter instead. Whatever will we do?
Is she D'Artagnan's daughter?
I think
she's D'Artagnan's
daughter.
daughter.
But most importantly, it's Maureen O'Hara, and so she kicks ass, unsurprisingly. A woman with a sword, and then she destroys them, and and also she's
And
like
looks
Maureen
super
O'Hara
hot while
in
she does
pants,
it.
right? I don't know if that undercuts the point of what the movie is trying to do or not, but regardless, I find it delightful.
And she probably says thank you very much at some point.
Yes. But
we like her accent.
But yeah, just the way it peeks out every now. But it's just a lot of fun. So that's one.
Tuesday, I also have Torchy.
Oh yes, Torchy Blaine.
Blondes at Work.
That's in the afternoon.
Which I looked up. It was the 4th Torchy Blaine movie. But we discovered Torchy Blaine. Torchy Blaine. One of those, like, the TV is on, movies are coming on. We were, I guess, having a lazy day. And they are these mid to late 30s?
Yeah.
Mysteries. And our detective is Torchy Blaine, who's this hard-nosed blonde reporter.
Lady reporter, Torchy Blaine.
And her boyfriend's a policeman.
Yes, and she's always getting to the
yeah,
scene
she
faster
always
than the
gets the
cops.
inside information, and she figures things out sooner, and it pisses the police force off. And they're really fun. They're not great. They're obviously not high dollar.
They're turned out B movies.
Glenda Farrell plays
They're like an hour
Torchy, and
long.
she nails it. There's a couple where they have a different Torchy, and it's like, meh.
And it's not. It's one of the Lane sisters did it once, and Lola maybe, and or I think Lola Lane, maybe Rosemary.
Yeah, it was Lola.
And
Jane
Wyman did one once. She's fine, but they weren't. Glenda Farrell, and like if you enjoy His Girl Friday, which we also watched when it was on last week. If you enjoy His Girl Friday and the absolute like listening to the podcast on 1.75x that is His Girl Friday, this same rate of speed is happening in Torchy Blaine.
What was that? There was a little phone.
She calls her editor Maxie. And she just says it's like the most 1930s movie 2 seconds possible. She goes to the phone booth, she puts it up to her ear and says, "Maxie, Torchy Blaine." And that like there. Well,
There's
I'm
lots of
watching.
good doffing
I'm
in it.
watching that movie, and there's a sort of an arc. Like there's a mystery for each movie, and there's a sort of a relationship arc as she and
Her boyfriend.
Barton McLean.
And her relationship with Gahagan, whatever that relationship
Oh yeah,
is.
Gahagan. There's this really particularly dumb
Character
cop.
after character.
Yes, Tom Kennedy, who plays a cop named Gahagan, who likes to write poetry. And it doesn't matter. It's wonderful.
And they're all like just over an hour long.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, like
this one,
63
Blondes at Work
minutes,
is
you know?
an hour long. Yeah,
And
yeah.
so they're just the kind of perfect little like, I just need something stupid that I can turn on while I'm
It's like watching an
eating my
episode of
lunch.
any of those movies that you watch, any of those TV shows that you watch an hour long episode of.
Yeah.
It's your Murder, She Wrote, your Columbo. I like these people. I like having them around. It's a shame some nondescript character had to get killed for me to look at them for an hour, but
Right.
so it goes. But Wednesday at midnight, so late Tuesday, Wednesday at midnight is I don't know if you've seen Watch on the Rhine. Watch
I
on the
never
Rhine
have.
is a fascinating one to watch right about now. A European anti-fascist who marries an American, and they go and they visit her family in Washington, as they've also gotten out of Europe. It's made in 1943, and that's set a couple years earlier, set pre-war. Someone from another nearby country, there's a count who's there, who's also visiting the family, and is very probably a Nazi
I think I have seen that.
conspirator or sympathizer.
I think I have.
Yeah, but anyway, it's good stuff. It's
Betty.
It is Betty Davis, yes, but it's also the Professor Bear's in it too.
Yeah, I know, right?
So,
So I can't win.
Geraldine Fitzgerald. But yeah, anyway, it's good stuff.
My choice for Wednesday is the Frederick March, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's a good version.
It's a good version. The special effects are fun to see.
Yeah.
Like, they're obviously not modern, but they're still very effective.
Yeah.
I
think
like
he's really
him.
good
I think
in it,
he's
too.
very good
Yeah.
in it. I really like. We've talked about this before. I'm never a fan of what ends up happening to the Jekyll and Hyde story, because it immediately becomes the
They decide
Madonna
there
horror
needs to
thing.
be romance in it.
There's not just that there needs to be romance in it, but there needs to be a two-dimensional goody two-shoes girl.
Right.
And there needs to be an actual prostitute. Because that's, those are the two kinds of women. And and Jekyll's with one and Hyde's with the other. Like, oh, but she is my fiancée. Oh, but she and I have
And will one of them get
Shacked
murdered
up.
by Hyde? Probably.
Clearly.
Which
Excuse
one? I don't know. Maybe both.
But But in this version, I'm really fond of Miriam Hopkins, who plays
yeah.
the
She's
trashy
so
girl,
good.
and she's really good. And it's
I like her a lot.
Miriam
Miriam Hopkins.
yeah,
she's
she's
one
not-
of those things I feel like
old movie weirdos know
modern.
who she is.
Yeah, but I feel like your average movie goer these days who has seen some old movies doesn't know who Miriam Hopkins is.
This is why you don't like Betty Davis, because Davis Crawford feud is famous, but the Davis Miriam Hopkins not getting along, less famous. And they did a couple of movies together.
Well,
And I
it
feel
just
like
makes me go, well, more proof that Betty didn't get along with other women.
I'm not going
come
to
on.
cast any aspersions. I didn't know any of these people. I don't feel like you had to put women in
don't know that she
competition.
got along with
I
anyone.
think that's.
Her
And
movie.
M is on right before that, which is horrifying.
I still have to watch
It
it.
is. It's just upsetting, but really great. It's good suspense, but it's just Peter Lorre walking around town all day. Is all it is. He's a child murderer, and it's also, if you know, this is not going to help. If you know the album, the Randy Newman album that Short People was on, there's a song on there called "In Germany Before the War," which is, without ever mentioning it, like the love theme from M, because Randy Newman writes songs like that. Anyway, it's a lot of fun. Is absolutely the wrong word. Oh, there's also a really sketchy movie on later in the afternoon called 13 Women. About,
That was so weird.
yeah, with in which a mysterious Eurasian girl played by the absolutely not in any way Asian Myrna Loy tries to murder off her boarding school roommates who were racist at her.
Now they're all out of
now-
school and
right,
grown up, and
and,
she's going back and
But it's that sounds like a mess of an idea for a movie, but it's a fascinating watch,
yeah,
and it's very pre-code shady.
it's a mess though.
Yeah, it is a mess.
Go
but it's
in
not
knowing
like
it's a mess. But,
it's not a mess
but
that
it's
is not worth
fascinating.
watching. Yeah.
But it's a mess.
Yeah.
Thursday. Do you have anything for Thursday? I have one for Thursday.
I don't, except for that The Haunting is very good.
And
It's
that's
on at
mine.
5:45. Okay, well you talk about that one. 'Cause you have stronger,
The Haunting, because I have a story. I had never seen it. I don't like scary movies. I have, dreams and things afterwards. But I was living alone in my apartment in New York, and it was on, and I thought, well, I live in a high-rise in New York. Why would I be scared? So I have it on the TV. I'm, poking around watching it. And there's these long shots of the house. And they're just kind of these long shots of the house. And then the story's going
quietly
on.
being haunted.
And right, and I was laughing at them. I was like, this is okay. Julie Harris, yay. But I was not scared at all, and I was giggling every time they had another long shot of the house. And I could not turn off my lights that night. We got to be bedtime, and I was like, oh, crap. What have I done? I slept with my lights on. In my New York apartment, in Manhattan.
It was not quiet. It was
not
not secluded.
quiet. It was not secluded. I'd been living in the same apartment. I wasn't a visitor there. I hadn't been. Yeah. So it worked on me.
It's good.
The scary part of
Yeah.
it worked.
Yeah.
But the original, it holds up pretty well.
Anything for Friday?
Bittersweet. Jeanette McDonald, Nelson Eddy, doing their thing. And I enjoy them. I have a fondness for that kind of
they're fun.
musical silliness. And she is delightful. Nelson's fine. He's a little wooden, and there's always been jokes about that, but he has beautiful voice, and they work together very well. But she actually, above and beyond the singing, she's got some pop on a screen. You know?
She really does. Well, those Lubitsch musicals that she was in a couple of with Chevalier. Yeah. They're so much fun. And she's a large part of the fun. Like, you think, like, he's the comic, and who can't really sing, but is a stylist.
Right.
And she's the beautiful voice, but that is absolutely not true.
And she is lovely to look at as well, but she has charm, and she, has some presence. And
it's funny that these are such what people remember Jeanette MacDonald and Nelson Eddy as these sort of like sexless operettas. Right. When I think of her, having watched some more of those Lubitsch musical pre-code things, like, she's naughty. Yeah. She's got this really good, I've talked about this, so we do a lot of Shakespeare, and there are characters in Shakespeare where, yes, Shakespeare is laden with the dick jokes, but there are ones where people are making the jokes, and there are ones where the characters are saying them without realizing that they're saying them. And that's a tricky thing to do, to get a dirty joke across innocently. Blink, 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 Yeah. And she was really good at that. If you watch her in some of those pre-codes, she's very good at sort of at being slightly aghast at what these goings on, but also being the reason that that something sexy is happening under the.
But if you've also, know Nelson and Jeanette, but you've never actually watched one, Bittersweet's actually very lovely, and it's 9:30 on Friday.
Brief Encounter is on at 4:45, which I can't recommend enough. Which is not sparkly and sassy and blithe-spirity at all. It is a weepy, forbidden, doomed love melodrama about two very sort of normal people, and it's just
Greg really likes a weepy, doomed love affair.
Oh yeah, and these two are British.
Love affair,
right? I'll more on that later. But these two folks are British, and it's like an incredibly British movie. Like, so a lot in any other scenario but Britain in the 1940s, it would be maybe you would be like, well, why don't they just no, they can't. They're British. It's not happening. On Sunday.
Talked about Libeled Lady.
Last time, or one of the previous, yes.
So we may have mentioned this. Easy to Wed is a remake of Libeled Lady with Esther.
With Esther Williams, with Lucille Ball, and one of her more... Lucille Ball didn't get to do a lot of movie comedy that worked. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was not... They didn't know where to put her. And the ones that people do know were done post I Love Lucy. And her being this coarse remake of a Jean Harlow role, I like her a lot in it. It's one of her better opportunities.
And
in that era.
In our household, we always enjoy an Esther Williams movie.
Oh yeah. Few of them are very good. That's not important.
Yeah, it's not what they're about. They're great to look at. They are lighthearted and fun. Definitely, happy ending kind of stuff.
Yep. Sometimes Ethel Smith shows up and plays the organ.
Yes. There's swimming and she smiles under the water. Not Ethel Smith.
No, Esther, you can't play the organ
Esther
underwater.
Smiles
That's
under the water.
ridiculous.
And we know ridiculous. We both read her autobiography / memoir. I'm going to say memoir because it was pretty trashy.
Yeah. $1 Million Mermaid. I highly recommend it. There's a movie by that name too, but it's one of the trashier Hollywood bios I've ever memoirs.
Which makes going to watch her movie, sit down and watch a movie just all better.
And after that is History is Made at Night. Another wonderful, semi-doomed, not doomed, but I don't know what this movie is. It's Charles Boyer, Jean Arthur are in this one. And I don't know what this is. It's like this rom-com, but it keeps taking these dark turns that it's like the movie didn't see coming either. Jean Arthur's trying to get a divorce, and her awful, jealous husband, soon-to-be ex-husband, will not let her go, and he's trying to trap her into some like way where the divorce won't go through, and so instead she's saved from that trap by Charles Boyer.
Have I
And of
seen
course, they
this?
fall. You have. They're on the ship. We own a physical copy of the Criterion Collection. Put it on again. I'll watch it in any
I don't
time.
remember this.
Then at 2:00,
One of your favorite movies.
I
ever.
love this dumb movie. Back to the Bachelor Pads from Best of Everything is Sunday in New York, which is based on a hit play of the era. It's early '60s. It's Jane Fonda and Rod Taylor and Cliff Robertson.
Right, her brother, the pilot, and the poor girlfriend
Who keeps getting shuttled around.
Right.
It's glorious production design, a terrific
Oh, the-
bachelor pad,
the
which we
apartment
then
is
saw
beautiful.
turn up in another much worse movie.
Yeah.
The exact same set turned up in that garbage movie with Bob Goulet, Honeymoon Hotel or
Honeymoon
something like
Hotel.
that. Oh,
I'm
it was
pretty sure.
just terrible. And
Yeah.
I love it. I love a movie like that. Robert Morris is also in it.
Yes.
It's just terrible.
But one of those where even like the mid-century design of it won't hold.
It's not
you.
one,
You're
especially
it's not
because the
worth it.
mid-century design of it is some
You
of it is
already saw-
recycled. I saw it in Sunny New York, and I love it. His apartment is magnificent, but it's also very much like it's very much about the sexual mores of the era, and in that it's incredibly dated. But it's also about two people having a man and a woman having a very, for the time, I won't say it's frank because it's a movie in 1963, but like what feels like a very honest conversation about like heterosexual mores in that
Right.
era. And
Expectations
and the
and
shift that was
rules and,
beginning to happen in like 1963. This came out, the plays a couple years before, but and it's that which makes it really interesting. It has
and
heart.
that makes
I
it
guess you would say.
sound
It
like,
feels
oh, it's important.
Oh,
but
absolutely
it's
not.
not.
It's as dippy as they come. It's very much like meet cute on a city bus kind of nonsense. But because the two people in it are and then it gets wacky. Like they have that conversation, and then the wackiness begins that they have to be. You must suffer through the ensuing wackiness, or what fun would it be? But it is
1960s movie wackiness.
right. It's a special breed. But yeah, it's really I enjoyed the heck out of that movie. Can't help myself.
The last one I have,
Is what?
High
High
Society.
Society.
4:00 on Sunday. It's a good time for High Society.
Yep.
Is a musical remake of Philadelphia Story.
from 1940. High Society from the mid 50s.
Uh,
Cole Porter music.
Bing,
Bing.
Grace Kelly, looking beautiful, Grace Kelly-ish.
Frank Sinatra.
Frank
All those
Sinatra.
clips you've seen of Bing and Frank singing the "Well, Did You Have a Song" is from that. Louis Armstrong.
Her name just went out of my head. Who sings the?
Oh, Celeste Holmes. Who
Celeste
wants to be a millionaire?
I do.
Yeah, right.
And it
it's
is
fun.
delightful.
It's
and
not as
far
good as the Philadelphia Story, but it's still delightful.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
as far as the story,
Yeah,
the Philadelphia
almost the
Story
same
goes,
screenplay.
it's not that good, but in its own right,
I feel
And
like it was
here's-
better talking about the same thing about the sexual mores and stuff from Sunday New York. I feel like one of the reasons the Philadelphia Story works better than High Society is because it was made in 1940 and not in 1956. And I think that the things it wants to talk about when it's getting serious about talking about things,
yeah.
they just are. They're very different coming out of those two different eras to me. I have one more, and that is Intermezzo, 1939, Leslie
You like
Howard.
that movie?
No, I've never seen the American one. This is Leslie Howard and Ingrid Bergman. It was a hit for her, like a European hit, and they remade it when she came over here. And I've never seen it, and I know the theme song from it because it was in an old book of sheet music that I had when I was taking piano lessons as a teenager. So that's my week. Yeah.
And mine.
Will you see any of them? We don't know. Talk to you soon.